Honda just detonated a price bomb that Yamaha was never prepared for. A brand new $6,000 electric outboard, more torque, lower running cost, and zero maintenance just undercut Yamaha's most successful small motor by almost $2,000. And here's the part nobody at the showroom wants to say out loud. If Honda's numbers hold up, Yamaha's entire entry-level empire, the one they built over 40 years, could collapse in a single buying cycle. This isn't about batteries or new technology or some distant electric future. It's about a simple question every buyer is now asking at the counter. Why would I pay more for a Yamaha F25 when the Honda is cheaper, quieter, stronger at low speed, and doesn't need a single oil change? Today, we're breaking down exactly how Honda blindsided Yamaha, what this means for your next outboard purchase, and why dealers across the country are already panicking behind closed doors. Stay with me, because once you see the numbers, you'll understand why this $6,000 motor changes the entire foundation of small power boating forever. Yamaha's kingdom, built on affordable combustion. For nearly 40 years, Yamaha Motor Corporation ruled the small outboard segment with a simple formula: build reliable motors between 9.9 and 25 horsepower, price them competitively, and lock buyers into a service cycle that lasted decades. The Yamaha F25 became the default choice for first-time boat owners, weekend anglers, and anyone powering a small aluminum skiff or sailboat auxiliary. Retail price hovered around $7,800. And while that was not cheap, it came with a promise. Yamaha motors ran predictably, parts were easy to source, and any marine technician could service them without specialized training. That predictability was never just about the engine, it was about the entire ecosystem Yamaha built around it. Every spring, boats returned to dealerships for tune-ups. Carburetors needed cleaning after months sitting idle. Lower units required fresh gear oil. Impellers failed. Each task generated billable hours and parts sales, and dealers depended on that rhythm. In cold weather states, winterization became a seasonal ritual. For many small-town marine dealers, winterization alone accounted for 10 to 15% of annual service revenue. The customer profile was consistent. These were practical people who wanted a motor that started reliably, did not demand constant attention, and could be fixed locally when something went wrong. The brand loyalty was real, built on lived experience rather than marketing. Financial data across the marine dealer network reveals how much this segment mattered. Motors under 50 horsepower represented nearly 40% of total service revenue in shops that sold multiple brands. Margins on this work ran between 35 and 50%, far better than the 8 to 12% earned on new boat sales. A single Yamaha F25 owner might spend $1,200 to $1,800 on service over 3 years. This was not a side business. It was the business. And Yamaha's combustion platform made it possible. Honda's silent ambush. At the $6,000 threshold, Honda Marine introduced the E-Thrust 25 without fanfare, but the specifications told a different story. 25 horsepower equivalent output, 40-mile range at cruising speed, modular 5 kilowatt-hour battery pack, and a retail price of $5,995. That figure sat $2,000 below Yamaha's F25. The gap was not small enough to dismiss as a promotional discount. It was large enough to force every buyer in this segment to reconsider their assumptions about what an outboard should cost and what it should require. The operational reality mattered most. The E-Thrust 25 had no break-in period, no oil to change every 50 hours, no lower unit to service, no carburetor to rebuild after a winter in storage, no fuel stabilizer to add. The maintenance schedule consisted of software updates and occasional electrical diagnostics, tasks that took minutes rather than hours for a buyer who had budgeted for annual service costs of $400 to $600. The savings compounded quickly over 5 years. The total cost of ownership for the Honda dropped below $7,000, while the Yamaha climbed past $10,000. Torque delivery separated the two motors in ways numbers alone could not capture. Electric motors provide maximum torque from 0 revolutions per minute, instant acceleration, no throttle lag, immediate response in tight maneuvering. A gas outboard needs time to spool up. The carburetor mixes air and fuel. The combustion cycle builds pressure. and only then does the propeller bite with authority. In wind, current, or crowded docks, that instant response changes everything. Honda also brought an advantage Yamaha could not easily replicate. The company's automotive division had spent the last decade scaling electric vehicle production and refining lithium-ion cell chemistry. The marine division inherited that infrastructure. Honda Marine sourced cells at internal prices estimated around $300 per kilowatt hour. Yamaha, forced to buy from third-party suppliers, faced costs closer to $800 per kilowatt hour. That gap alone explained much of the pricing advantage, and it was not a gap Yamaha could close through negotiation or volume discounts. The psychological impact of pricing a superior product below the competition cannot be overstated. For decades, buyers accepted that electric alternatives cost more because they were newer or less proven. Honda reversed that equation. The e-Thrust 25 was not just better in some abstract environmental sense. It was cheaper to buy, cheaper to own, and delivered a smoother, quieter experience on the water. Every dealer trying to sell a Yamaha F25 now had to explain why a customer should pay more for a motor that required more maintenance, made more noise, and offered less control. Yamaha's exposure and the response they cannot build. Yamaha Marine faces a structural problem that money alone cannot solve quickly. Unlike Honda, Yamaha has no automotive electric vehicle program to leverage. There is no existing battery supply chain, no gigafactory partnerships, no economies of scale from shared production with hybrid vehicles. If Yamaha wanted to build an electric outboard competitive with Honda's pricing, they would need to source every battery cell on the open market and absorb costs that Honda avoids entirely through vertical integration. Development timelines compound the problem. Yamaha committed to refreshing its four-stroke combustion lineup through model year 2026. Engineering resources and tooling investments all assumed incremental improvements to existing gas platforms. An electric outboard would require an entirely new architecture, new supply relationships, and new service protocols. Even if Yamaha accelerated development today, reaching production at competitive pricing would likely take until 2027 or later. That gives Honda a multi-year head start in a segment where early adopters shape long-term brand perception. The cannibalization trap presents another dilemma. If Yamaha dropped the price of the F25 to compete directly with Honda's electric offering, they would gut their own dealer margins and signal that their combustion technology had been overpriced all along. If they maintained current pricing and emphasized the reliability of gas, they risked losing market share to buyers who saw Honda's lower total cost of ownership as a safer bet. Either path led to pain. Regulatory pressure adds urgency Yamaha cannot ignore. California Air Resources Board has begun scrutinizing emissions from small outboards. Several state park systems have started phasing in electric-only mandates on sensitive inland lakes. The National Park Service has explored similar restrictions in protected waterways. Yamaha's current combustion lineup still faces an estimated $200 million in research and development costs to meet stricter emissions targets expected by 2030. Honda's electric platform is already compliant, sidestepping the entire regulatory battle before it fully escalates. Dealer economics shatter beneath the silence. Marine dealers built their entire business on one simple truth: gas outboards always come back. A Yamaha F25 owner returns multiple times in just a few seasons. Spring commissioning, mid-season oil changes, fall winterization, impellers, carb cleanings, lower unit inspections. That cycle is worth $1,200 to $1,800 in service revenue over 3 years. It's steady, predictable. It's what keeps small-town shops alive. And Honda's electric outboard destroys that model. A Honda e-Thrust 25 owner doesn't return at all. No oil, no winterization, no carburetors, no gear oil, no impellers, no tune-ups. Maybe one quick software check every couple of years, that's it. For dealers, that's not a new motor. It's a customer disappearing for 3 seasons. And here's where you feel the impact. Fewer dealers will survive. The ones left will raise hourly rates. Wait times get longer. Future gas owners pay the difference. If even 20 to 25% of small engine customers switch to electric, many independent shops won't make it to 2030. That means if you stick with combustion, keeping it running will get harder and more expensive long after the sale. Honda is offering dealers higher commissions to soften the blow, but nothing replaces the steady service income gas motors generated for decades. Electric isn't just changing propulsion, It's reshaping who stays in business to support you on the water, where numbers become experience. Demonstrations at Florida and Michigan Boat shows revealed the gap between specification sheets and lived reality. Side-by-side comparisons placed the Honda eThrust 25 and the Yamaha F25 on identical 17-foot center consoles, each running the same course across calm harbor water. From the dock, the difference registered immediately. The Yamaha rumbled to life with the familiar shake of a four-stroke engine. The Honda made no sound. A green indicator light confirmed it was ready, but the silence was so complete that first-time operators hesitated, unsure if something had failed. Acceleration told the rest of the story. The Yamaha responded to throttle input with a brief delay, while the carburetor adjusted fuel flow and the combustion cycle built momentum. The Honda surged forward the instant the lever moved, torque arriving in a smooth, linear push. Passengers noted the absence of vibration, the way conversation continued naturally without anyone raising their voice, and the way the boat tracked straight without the side-to-side sway that often accompanies gas outboards at low speeds. Noise measurements confirmed what riders already felt. The Yamaha F25 at cruising throttle registered 82 decibels, comparable to standing beside a busy highway. The Honda measured 48 decibels, quieter than a typical office environment. That difference mattered most in early morning or late evening, when noise carried across still water and disturbed other boaters or wildlife in protected areas. Fuel cost comparisons deepened the economic argument. Running the Yamaha F25 for 1 hour at moderate throttle consumed approximately 1.2 gallons of gasoline, costing roughly $4.50 at current fuel prices. The Honda, drawing power from a battery charged at average residential electricity rates, cost 80 cents for the same duration. Over a typical boating season of 100 hours, the Yamaha owner spent $450 on fuel, while the Honda owner spent $80. That gap alone justified the purchase price difference within 3 seasons, not accounting for eliminated maintenance. Range anxiety dissolved under real-world testing. The Honda eThrust 25 delivered 40 miles of range at moderate cruising speeds, covering 95% of recreational outings. Lake fishermen and harbor commuters rarely ventured beyond 10 or 15 miles from their launch point. The modular battery design allowed swapping in a fully charged spare in under 5 minutes, simpler than refueling a gas tank in choppy conditions. Most owners charged batteries overnight using standard household outlets, achieving a full charge in approximately 4 hours. The supply chain weapon Yamaha cannot replicate. Honda's real advantage isn't the motor, it's the factory behind it. For years, Honda has been building batteries for cars, hybrids, and crossovers at automotive scale, millions of cells. Huge contracts, low cost. When Honda Marine needs batteries, they don't buy them on the open market at premium prices. They simply tap into the same supply chain their car division already built. That means Honda can sell a $5,995 electric outboard and still make the math work. Yamaha can't. Yamaha has no electric car division, no battery factories, no joint ventures producing cells by the millions. Every battery Yamaha needs must be bought from outside suppliers at market price, with marine volumes too small to negotiate real discounts. If lithium prices spike, Yamaha pays more. If supply tightens, Yamaha gets pushed to the back of the line. Honda doesn't face any of that. Their battery supply is internal, stable, and cheap, exactly why they can undercut Yamaha's gas motor by nearly $2,000. This is the part nobody at the showroom tells you. Honda doesn't just have a better motor, they have an industrial footprint Yamaha cannot match. Not this year, not next year, maybe not even by 2028. Environmental pressure closes the legacy window. Regulations targeting small outboards have accelerated beyond what most manufacturers anticipated even 5 years ago. California Air Resources Board has begun scrutinizing emissions from motors under 50 horsepower with particular intensity. These engines, often equipped with simpler fuel management systems than their larger counterparts, produce disproportionately high emissions per horsepower. Proposals under consideration would require significant reductions in nitrogen oxides and particulate matter by 2030, standards that current combustion designs cannot meet without expensive redesigns. State park systems and federal agencies have moved faster than private marinas. Minnesota's Boundary Waters Canoe Area Wilderness now restricts motorized access to electric-only propulsion in designated zones, citing noise pollution and wildlife disturbance. New York's Adirondack Park has explored similar measures. The National Park Service issued guidance encouraging electric propulsion in sensitive waterways, and while enforcement remains inconsistent, the direction is clear. Areas where noise and emissions once went unquestioned now face scrutiny from environmental groups and regulatory bodies empowered by shifting public sentiment. Honda has positioned the eThrust 25 as the motor that provides access where Yamaha cannot. Marketing materials highlight quiet operation in noise-restricted zones, zero exhaust emissions in wildlife areas, and compliance with regulations that have not yet been written but are already anticipated. Yamaha's combustion motors, regardless of how clean they become, cannot offer that assurance. The gap between compliant and merely cleaner grows more significant as regulatory timelines compress. Compliance costs create another disadvantage. Yamaha faces an estimated $200 million in research and development spending to meet anticipated 2030 emission standards across its outboard lineup. That investment must be recovered through higher prices, reduced margins, or both. Honda's electric platform bypasses those costs entirely, diverting resources toward battery efficiency and software improvements instead. Consumer pressure, particularly from buyers under 40 years old, reinforces regulatory trends. Marine industry surveys indicate that younger buyers show 3 times higher preference for electric propulsion compared to buyers over 55. That demographic shift does not happen overnight, but it builds momentum steadily. As older boat owners age out and younger buyers enter, the cultural assumption that outboards must run on gasoline fades. Honda benefits from being early, establishing brand identity as the electric leader, while Yamaha risks being seen as the company that arrived late to an inevitable transition. If you are a Yamaha owner or shopping for your first outboard right now, this shift is happening in real time at your local dealer. What are you seeing on the docks? Are salespeople still pushing gas motors hard, or has the conversation already started changing? Drop your observations below, because the ground-level reality often moves faster than the press releases suggest. And if this breakdown helped you understand why one price point can reshape an entire industry, hit like so other boaters find it before they walk into a showroom unprepared. Subscribe, because the next wave of electric releases will determine which legacy brands survive and which ones become case studies. Yamaha's narrow path forward and the choices ahead. Yamaha has options, but none are easy and all carry risk. The first path involves emergency partnerships with established battery manufacturers or automotive companies already scaling electric vehicle production. A joint venture with Tesla, BYD, or another major player could provide access to battery technology and supply chains Yamaha lacks. However, such partnerships take years to negotiate, require significant capital investment, and often result in compromised control over product design and pricing. Even if Yamaha secured a deal today, bringing a competitive electric outboard to market would likely take until 2027, giving Honda a multi-year monopoly. Acquisition of an electric marine startup presents another possibility, though Yamaha's conservative corporate culture makes aggressive moves unlikely. Companies such as Flux Marine or Vision Marine Technologies have developed electric outboard platforms, but integrating a startup into a legacy manufacturer introduces cultural friction, technical incompatibilities, and the risk that acquired technology does not scale as hoped. Yamaha has historically grown through internal development rather than acquisition. Doubling down on premium combustion offers a third path, one that concedes the entry-level market to Honda, but protects Yamaha's position in higher horsepower segments where electric propulsion remains impractical. Motors above 100 horsepower still favor combustion because battery weight and cost become prohibitive. Yamaha could retreat upmarket, focusing on performance and applications where gas remains the only viable option. This strategy preserves some revenue and allows time to develop electric alternatives, but it surrenders the segment that feeds long-term customer loyalty and dealer stability. Losing the entry market today may mean losing the premium market tomorrow, as buyers who start with Honda never consider switching to Yamaha later. A licensing deal with Honda, while humiliating, might be the most pragmatic option. Yamaha could negotiate access to Honda's battery technology, motor controllers, or even complete propulsion systems, rebranding them under Yamaha's name while sharing revenue. This approach appears in other industries where competitors collaborate on components while differentiating on design or service. However, such arrangements require Honda's willingness to strengthen a competitor, and the financial terms rarely favor the company asking for help. Yamaha would gain speed to market but lose autonomy and margin. The innovation innovation gap Yamaha faces is not purely technical, it is cultural. The company's marine leadership remains steeped in combustion expertise, and shifting an entire organization toward electric propulsion requires more than engineering talent. It demands new supplier relationships, different manufacturing processes, revised service training, and a willingness to abandon decades of accumulated knowledge that suddenly loses relevance. Companies that successfully navigate such transitions often do so through leadership changes, bold investments, and tolerance for short-term losses. Yamaha's track record suggests caution and incrementalism, traits that served well in stable markets, but become liabilities when the ground shifts. Honda released a $6,000 electric outboard that performs better, costs less to own, and sidesteps the entire maintenance model that kept marine dealers profitable for decades. Yamaha built an empire on affordable combustion reliability, but that empire now faces a competitor with deeper pockets, better supply chains, and a pricing strategy designed to make gas motors obsolete in the entry-level segment. What are you seeing at your marina? Drop your thoughts below. If this breakdown helped, hit like and subscribe, because the next moves from Mercury and Suzuki will define who survives this transition.